I think this spot right here illustrates one of the many reasons that people just have this thing for tree houses. Here we live square in the middle of a neighborhood, right in the middle of a neighborhood that's, like most neighborhoods, pretty chock full of people. And yet we have our own little slice of paradise back here that's shaded for almost the whole day with these gumball trees, and there's a maple tree back there. Our own little slice of paradise. Paradise might be a slight exaggeration, but we'll get there. I've already got that angle cut, and I'll show you how I determined that angle with my handy dandy speed square. Okay, try this again. So I determined these angled pieces by putting a straight edge all the way across these boards. That straight edge right there, and that simulates the outer perimeter board that's going to attach to the edges here. But I need to cut these, right? So you line up your speed square, you see where it says pivot right there, and all you do is you pivot it like it says. It's commanding you to do it. Just follow its instructions, for God's sake. And then you go over here and you look at what that angle says. That angle seems to indicate about 7 degrees. I'm going to verify that I'm still lined up here on my line, and I am. So then I'm just going to set my skill saw here, which is not really a skill saw, but you know what I mean, to 7 degrees. So now I'm cutting all these pieces off in preparation for the rim joist. The only one of these that's 90 degrees of any of these joists is the one closest to the camera. You'll notice a little temporary piece that I drive into. I use screws to drive into underneath where I'm about to put the rim joist. Sometimes I put it on top as well. And that is like having an extra set of hands. It's really handy. It just, as I'll kind of explain here in a minute, it just eliminates several factors when you're already stressed out from knowing that your boards will lie in wait for you to let your guard down and suddenly jump out of place right when you go to drive a screw in there. The back of it's done, and I kind of want the front of it to look like the prow of a ship, you know, for my kids' sake, not to relive my childhood fantasies, but for my kids' sake, for the sake of the children. So I've marked out the angles on this piece and that piece, and also the other two, and I'm about to set my saw using my speed square, just like I did with the back there. I chose to use screws throughout this project instead of nails because I'd rather use cordless tools to construct the house instead of having to constantly drag an air hose, and also because it's nice to be able to easily remove the screws if I change my mind or make a mistake. I mean, just, you know, theoretically speaking. In reality, I can't remember the last time I made a mistake. Bye-bye. Well, except for that one time a few seconds ago when I accidentally built an entire treehouse deck out of untreated lumber because I didn't really read the label carefully enough. But other than that, I've never made a mistake that I can think of. What I did here was I just added I added an extra hand here underneath so that this sits flush with this. And then I kind of put a second extra hand here to lock this down, because I suspect, since this is such a steep angle, I expect that as I drive in some screws here, it's going to want to kind of deviate. So I'm trying to eliminate some factors. I started putting on the outer perimeter piece to kind of make up the part of the prow of the ship. And then I realized that it's really hard to get accurate angles on there when these boards are kind of, these joists here are kind of cockeyed a little bit. So I decided to brace this first, which requires some angles because these aren't right. This is not a right angle to this. So then I was able to get a more accurate placement of that prow piece, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm about to do the same thing for these pieces because I have to make the mating prow. So that's what I'm doing here. Because this sequence is sped up, you can really see the movement of the tree. It really illustrates why it's good to go to all the trouble of accounting for tree movement in the construction of a treehouse. And honestly, at this height, there's not even that much movement. One time I watched a video where a guy just bolted a bunch of boards directly to the tree, and then he said something like, "There, done. No need to build one of them yuppie tree houses with the fancy treehouse bolts." And I was like, I mean, okay, you can call it what you want, but I'd prefer my treehouse to last for longer than 17 seconds. Said the guy who accidentally built an entire treehouse deck out of untreated lumber. It's nice to have a block plane handy for just this reason. When you just need a little trimmed off, it's exactly the tool you need. At one point after this was done, I was looking at it from the house, and it suddenly it occurred to me that the thing looked out of level, which gave me that good old-fashioned terrible feeling in the pit of your stomach that you get when you sense impending doom. And I had to force myself to take a 3-foot level up there and put it on the treehouse deck, and it turns out it was fine. Appearances really can be deceiving, especially when the ground is super not level. Did you ever thank God for trees? If you haven't, you should. I mean, I'm kind of talking to myself here too, since I take them for granted as well. They're all around us, so it's easy to do that. In this modern age, I realize it's tempting to attribute things that were obviously created by a caring and thoughtful God to something or things that don't have the capacity to create. But I think if you do that, you've likely never really dwelt on what a tree actually is. What does a tree give us? It gives us shade. It gives us beauty. It gives us the most astonishing building material on planet Earth. It has medicinal qualities. It produces oxygen as a waste product. It holds the soil together. It's a habitat for entire ecosystems. It provides delicious sustenance in the form of fruits and nuts. And after all that, it provides a place to build a house in the sky where we can contemplate the eternal qualities of the one who created this towering object of our admiration. No wonder we love tree houses. So that's what we've finished so far, and we're getting to the point in this project where I find myself just going out to the yard, standing under the treehouse for embarrassing amounts of time, and just staring at the treehouse and thinking about what could be. It's been a blast so far, and this is just the beginning, honestly. So I hope you'll stick with us for the duration, and we'll see you in the next video.